Greatness is not born under the spotlight. It is born in silence. In the hours before the sun rises, when the world is still asleep, when no one is clapping for you, no one is watching, no one even cares. That is where the best separate themselves from the rest. Most people say they want to be great. They say they want to rise to the top, to be the best in their field. But here is the truth: they never do. Not because they are not capable, but because they refuse to fully commit to what greatness demands. They want the recognition but not the responsibility. They want the results but not the repetition. They want the title but not the training. And so they remain stuck in the middle, decent, average, replaceable. The path of excellence does not begin with applause. It begins in obscurity. It begins when you are still unknown, uncelebrated, invisible. And in that invisibility, you must build your foundation. Because if you cannot build in silence, you will not last in the spotlight. Think of a tree. You never see the roots, but the roots are what hold the tree upright when the storm comes. If the roots are shallow, the first strong wind will bring it down. Greatness works the same way. Your roots are your habits. Your roots are your discipline. And those roots are only grown in the unseen hours, when no one is praising you. The ones who rise to the top are not motivated by recognition. They are motivated by vision. They are not fueled by the claps of the crowd. They are fueled by the quiet fire within that tells them who they are becoming. Their work itself is the encouragement. Their progress is their reward. They do not need applause, because their discipline is louder than any cheer. But this is where most people fall short. They get bored with silence. They confuse lack of attention with lack of progress. They believe because no one notices, nothing is happening. But growth does not care about visibility. Mastery does not happen on stage. It happens in solitude, in repetition, in the same decision made over and over again until it becomes who you are. Consider Michael Jordan in his early years. Before the championships, before the cameras, before the legend, he was not waiting for recognition. He was too busy doing the work. The early mornings, the countless hours of practice when no one was watching. That is where the identity of the champion was formed. Long before the world called him the greatest, he had already built the habits of greatness in silence. This is the law of the unseen. You must fall in love with the days that feel invisible. The sessions where no one claps, the hours where nothing feels exciting, because those are the days when momentum is built. Those are the bricks that build the fortress of mastery. And the fortress you build in silence is the one that will protect you when the world finally looks your way. You want to become the best? Then start acting like you already are. Train like it is already yours. Show up like you are already leading the field. Because the standard you build in private is the same standard that will carry you in public. And when the pressure comes, when the lights turn on, you will not rise to the occasion. You will fall to the level of your preparation. If your preparation was built on discipline instead of emotion, then even your lowest level will still be higher than most people's best. This is the first law of excellence. Build in silence. Make the unseen your proving ground. Do not wait for people to see you. Start building something undeniable. Stop hoping for validation. Start living with alignment. Because when your daily actions reflect the person you are becoming, the world will not be able to ignore you. 10 seconds in, and you need to understand this truth. Greatness is not given. It is earned in the dark. It is earned in silence. It is earned when no one is watching and no one cares. If you cannot handle the silence, you do not deserve the spotlight. The second law of greatness is simple, yet it is where most people fail. Master the fundamentals. Obsess over the basics. Build on what others ignore. Everyone wants to skip steps. Everyone wants to jump to the advanced strategies, the flashy moves, the complicated techniques. But mastery is not found in the fancy. It is built in the basics. It is born in the simple things done with ruthless consistency, long after most people have moved on. Think about a boxer. The world sees the knockouts, the highlight reels, the moments of glory. But what they do not see are the endless hours spent throwing the same jab again and again until it is automatic, until it is perfect, until it cannot go wrong. The knockout punch only exists because the fundamentals were mastered. Without the fundamentals, there is no glory. The best in any field are not above the basics. They are built on them. They drill the same moves, the same patterns, the same habits, until they are no longer just skills. They are identity. Their floor is higher than most people's ceiling because they have turned repetition into instinct. They do not practice until they get it right. They practice until they cannot get it wrong. This is where most people fail. They get bored with the process. They abandon the fundamentals that got them started. They want novelty, so they experiment instead of refine. They want variety, so they chase shortcuts instead of execution. But the best do not need novelty. They need mastery. They live in the repetition. They squeeze every drop out of the basics until they become unshakable. Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." That is mastery. That is the mindset of greatness. To repeat the simple until it becomes unstoppable. Excellence lives in the details. It is not about doing extraordinary things once in a while. It is about doing ordinary things at an extraordinary level every single day. It is about refining your movements, sharpening your execution, drilling your craft until confidence is built on hours of proof, not moments of hype. When the storm comes, when pressure rises, the ones who built speed before skill will break. They will panic. They will hesitate. They will collapse under the weight. But the ones who lock their fundamentals will not. They will not break. They will not fold. They will not doubt. They will execute. And they will execute better than anyone else. Not because they are more talented, but because they are more prepared. Look at Kobe Bryant. His obsession was not with glamorous moves. It was with the basics. Shooting the same shots, rehearsing the same footwork again and again. His mornings were spent perfecting the fundamentals. And that is why, when the lights came on, he performed with a precision that felt unshakable. Because the foundation was unshakable. If you want to be the best, stop searching for something new. Look deeper into what you already know. Study your craft as if it were sacred. Break it down, rebuild it, refine it, track the details. Study the rhythm. Obsess over the edge. Because there is no such thing as too good for the basics. When it feels easy, that is your signal to go deeper, to go harder, to push the tempo, to sharpen the precision. This is the second law of excellence. Master the fundamentals. Build a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. Not fatigue, not stress, not pressure. Because when everything else fails, your fundamentals will remain. And that is what separates the best from the rest. 10 seconds in. You need to hear this. Do not chase the extraordinary until you have mastered the ordinary. Do not seek greatness in the complicated until you have owned the simple. Because the basics are not just the beginning. They are the building blocks of everything you will ever achieve. Consistency is the great separator. Talent will fade. Motivation will vanish. Emotion will betray you. But consistency will carry you through the valleys where most people quit. If you are not willing to become unreasonably consistent, you will never become the best. Most people are committed when they feel like it. They follow through when it is convenient. They train hard for a few weeks, then disappear for a few more. They journal for 2 days, then stop. They show up strong for a weekend, then burn out by Monday. They start with fire, but they do not last. That is why most people remain average. They never stay long enough for greatness to take root. The truth is simple. You do not become elite by showing up when the sun is shining. You become elite by showing up in the rain, in the dark, on the days when everything in you wants to quit, on the days when no one would blame you if you stopped. That is where separation is created. That is where the best are forged. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about showing up no matter how you feel. Even if the session is short, even if the work is messy, even if it feels like progress is invisible, you still show up. Because that is what professionals do, that is what leaders do, that is what the best do. Consider the marathon runner. It is not the one explosive sprint that wins the race. It is the steady rhythm, mile after mile, step after step, refusing to stop even when the body screams for rest. The runner who trains every day, even if only for a short distance, will always outlast the sprinter who trains only when the mood is right. Because the marathon of life is not about speed, it is about stamina. And stamina is built through consistency. This is why most people never make it. They mistake intensity for consistency. They think one weekend of massive effort will transform them. They think a burst of discipline will erase years of neglect. But greatness is not built in sprints. It is built in the slow grind of daily effort. The quiet compounding of small habits, stacked over months and years, until your baseline becomes better than most people's best. Look at Jerry Seinfeld's law of 100. He became one of the greatest comedians not by waiting for inspiration, but by writing jokes every single day. His rule was simple: do not break the chain. That chain of daily consistency built a career that became undeniable. He did not rely on feeling motivated. He relied on consistency. This is the mindset you must adopt. You do not need more intensity. You need more frequency. You do not need to sprint for 3 hours once a week. You need to show up for 30 minutes every day. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be present. Because consistency is the great amplifier. It multiplies effort. It multiplies focus. It multiplies discipline. And over time, it creates a gap that no one can cross unless they have lived with the same level of commitment. Every time you follow through, even in the smallest way, you are casting a vote. You are reinforcing the identity of someone who keeps their word. You are proving to yourself that you are the kind of person who does not stop. That proof compounds. It builds unshakable confidence. It builds trust in yourself. And eventually, your floor becomes higher than other people's ceiling. This is the third law of excellence. Become unreasonably consistent. Show up on the days when it is hardest. Train your discipline to move without emotion. Because your goals deserve consistency more than your comfort deserves a break. And when your habits outlast your moods, there is no limit to how far you can go. 10 seconds in, you must understand this. You will not rise to greatness by what you do occasionally. You will rise by what you do relentlessly. Be consistent. So consistent that even your worst day still keeps you moving forward. Balance will not make you great. Comfort will not set you apart. If you want to dominate in any field, if you want to become the best, you must embrace obsession, not half-hearted interest. Not casual commitment. Obsession. Relentless, unapologetic, all-consuming obsession. Most people dabble. They kind of want it. They like the idea of greatness, but they are not willing to pay the price. They want to be admired, but not consumed. They want results, but not sacrifice. And that is why they never rise above average. Average people chase balance. Extraordinary people embrace obsession. Obsession is not a flaw. It is a force. It pulls you through resistance. It eliminates the need for motivation because you are possessed by the mission. You are not trying to fit your craft into your life. You are building your life around your craft. You are not squeezing it in. You are consumed by it. Think of Thomas Edison. Thousands of failed experiments. Nights without sleep. Days without distraction. He was not interested in balance. He was obsessed with finding the answer. And that obsession gave the world the light bulb. The greatest breakthroughs in history were not made by the balanced. They were made by the obsessed. But obsession is misunderstood. People will tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to take a break. And if you listen, you will become like them, distracted, scattered, living at the surface, never going deep enough to break through. But if you want to lead, if you want to redefine what is possible, you cannot listen to average advice. You cannot lower your standard to make others comfortable. You must live at a level of intensity that looks unreasonable to everyone else. This is not about working 20 hours a day. It is about alignment. It is about creating a life where everything supports the mission, eliminating what does not matter, protecting your time like it is sacred, surrounding yourself with people who fuel your focus instead of draining it. This is obsession with clarity, obsession with purpose. Obsession sharpens you. It cuts away distractions. It simplifies your life. You stop needing to say yes to everything. You stop chasing 100 little interests. You focus. You cut. You streamline. Because when something becomes your priority, everything else becomes optional. And that is how you unlock depth. That is how you unlock mastery. Look at Kobe Bryant again. He was not balanced. He was obsessed. Hours in the gym before dawn. Studying film late at night. Every detail mattered. Every rep mattered. Every moment was part of the mission. That level of obsession created a legacy that will never be forgotten. Because greatness does not come from casual commitment. It comes from relentless obsession. This is the fourth law of excellence. Embrace obsession. Stop living distracted. Stop living scattered. Build your schedule around your craft. Protect your time like it is sacred. Say no to everything that dilutes your edge. And when people call you intense, thank them. When they say you are obsessed, agree with them. Because the ones who change the world are never casual. They are never lukewarm. They are all in, fully, unapologetically, obsessed. 10 seconds in. Here is the truth. Balance is for those who want average. Obsession is for those who want greatness. If you want to lead, if you want to dominate, if you want to leave a legacy, stop apologizing for your fire. Let it consume you. Let it define you. Let it make you unstoppable. Stop chasing results. Start chasing the process. Greatness is not built by staring at the scoreboard. It is built by committing to the system, the repetition, the daily habits that sharpen you whether or not anyone notices. If you cannot detach from the outcome, you will never have the patience to master the craft. Most people fail because they are obsessed with results. They measure every day by whether or not it produced a visible win. They check the mirror. They check the numbers. They check the applause. And when progress is not obvious, they get discouraged. They pull back. They search for shortcuts. They change the plan. That is why they never get momentum. Because momentum is not built in the days of obvious success. It is built in the days that feel invisible. Think of bamboo. For years, it grows underground, where no one can see it. Day after day, nothing looks different. Then, in one season, it shoots up feet at a time. That is momentum. That is the hidden compounding of discipline. The farmer who quit watering it after a year never sees it break through. But the one who trusted the process, who kept watering even when nothing seemed to happen, is rewarded with exponential growth. This is how excellence works. You cannot control how fast results show up. You cannot control how others respond. But you can control your inputs, your intensity, your execution, your system. And if your system is right, results are automatic. They are a byproduct. They do not need to be chased. They show up on their own. Look at Olympic swimmers. They do not focus on the medal while they train. They focus on the stroke, the turn, the breath. They master the repetition until their body moves without hesitation. The medal is simply the evidence of a process mastered. The process was the real goal all along. When you marry the process, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of results. You stop quitting when the scoreboard does not move. You stop doubting yourself when the applause is silent. You keep showing up. You keep doing the reps. You keep sharpening the blade. And one day, the world wakes up and calls you an overnight success, not knowing you lived years in the silence of the process. This is the irony of greatness. The more you detach from the outcome, the faster results come, because you stop wasting energy on doubt and start pouring it into action. You stop needing validation and start finding joy in the work itself. And when your joy comes from the process, you are unstoppable. Because the process is always there. Every day, every moment. You can control it. You can commit to it. And you can trust it. This is the fifth law of excellence. Marry the process. Detach from the outcome. Stop idolizing results. Start worshiping your system. Build habits so strong that even when nothing looks like it is happening, something always is. Inside you, around you, through you, because in the end, it is not the finish line that defines you. It is the rhythm you live by to get there. 10 seconds in, you must hear this. Stop staring at the scoreboard. Stop waiting for applause. Your worth is not measured by the speed of your results. It is measured by the consistency of your process. Fall in love with the work, and the results will chase you. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is your training ground. Most people run from it. They avoid it. They hide from anything that feels heavy. But the ones who rise to the top do not fear pressure. They seek it. They put themselves in rooms where average will not cut it. They step into situations where their best is required. And that is why they grow. You do not get stronger by staying comfortable. You do not stretch your capacity when everything is easy. Growth only happens when the demand is higher than your current ability. When the task feels bigger than your confidence. When the weight feels heavier than your strength. That is the arena where evolution takes place. That is where champions are forged. Pressure is not punishment. It is preparation. It reveals the cracks in your foundation. It shows you where you hesitate. It exposes where you fold when the tempo increases. And that is a gift. Because once you see the weakness, you can fix it, you can reinforce it, you can build something unshakable. Think of a diamond. It is only created under extreme pressure. Without the weight, without the force, it remains coal. Pressure transforms it. Pressure polishes it. And pressure will polish you if you are willing to stay in the fire long enough. Most people break under pressure. Not because they cannot handle it, but because they never trained for it. They spent their whole lives chasing comfort, avoiding challenge. So when life finally demands more, they collapse. But you are not most people. You are built for the weight. You are built for the fire. You are built for the storm. Look at Navy SEAL training. They do not avoid pressure. They embrace it. They put recruits in freezing water. They push them past exhaustion. They test every limit, not to punish, but to reveal, to show who will break and who will rise. The ones who pass do not pass because it was easy. They pass because they welcome the pressure as preparation. This is how you must live. Stop treating pressure like a curse. Start treating it like your stage. When it shows up, do not flinch. Do not fold. Do not panic. Breathe. Focus. Rise. Because pressure does not change who you are. It reveals who you are. And if you have been building with integrity, if you have been training in silence, if you have been showing up when no one is watching, then pressure becomes your spotlight. It becomes the moment you prove what you already built. This is the sixth law of excellence. Seek pressure, not recklessly, but intentionally. Step into the rooms that stretch you. Take on the tasks that demand your full capacity. Lead when it is uncomfortable. Execute when the stakes are high. Because while everyone else is breaking down, you will be locking in. While they make excuses, you will be making moves. While they hesitate, you will execute. And that is what separates you from the rest. 10 seconds in, you must understand this. Pressure is not here to crush you. It is here to crown you. It is not here to break you. It is here to reveal you. Seek it, embrace it, live in it, and let it sharpen you into someone unstoppable. Knowledge without application is wasted. Skill without understanding is fragile. If you want to rise above, if you want to dominate, you must study the game like your life depends on it. Not casually. Not when you feel like it. Relentlessly. Every day. Most people want to win without understanding. They want to lead without learning. They want respect without research. But excellence does not work that way. You cannot outperform what you do not understand. You cannot outthink a system you have never studied. The best do not just practice. They study. They dissect. They reflect. They refine. Think of chess grandmasters. They do not win because they guess. They win because they see patterns 10 moves ahead. They have studied every opening, every response, every counter. While others react, they anticipate. While others are surprised, they are ready. This is the advantage of study. It sharpens your mind as much as your craft. Michael Jordan did not just play the game. He studied it. He studied film obsessively, analyzing defenders, predicting tendencies, finding weaknesses. His greatness was not only in his physical ability, but in his ability to think faster, see clearer, and anticipate deeper than anyone else. That is why he dominated. His mind was as sharp as his body. You must approach your craft the same way. Treat every result like a teacher, every mistake like a textbook, every challenge like a master class. Reflect on what worked. Analyze what failed. Ask questions others ignore. Study not just your strengths, but your blind spots. Learn the skills you have been avoiding. Confront the gaps in your knowledge. Because sometimes what is missing is not effort. It is insight. Consider the artist who copies the masters before creating their own work. They study brushstrokes, textures, and techniques until they understand why each detail matters. Then, and only then, do they innovate. Study is the foundation of mastery. Without it, your growth will always have a ceiling. The ones who rise are not just hard workers. They are smart workers. They move with precision because they understand the terrain. They anticipate obstacles because they have already seen the patterns. They are not surprised by resistance because they trained for it. They are not shaken by failure because they studied it. They know what others miss. This is the seventh law of excellence. Study the game. Study your craft. Study yourself. Be humble enough to admit you still have things to learn. Be relentless enough to keep searching for answers. Because awareness is your weapon. Understanding is your advantage. Knowledge applied with precision is what turns competitors into masters. 10 seconds in. You need to hear this. Stop guessing. Stop winging it. Study the game. Study it until you see patterns where others see chaos. Study it until confidence replaces doubt. Study it until the game slows down in front of you. Because the more you understand, the less you fear. And the less you fear, the more unstoppable you become. The strongest person in the room is not the loudest. It is the calmest. The one who can hold their ground when everything is falling apart. The one who can feel every emotion and still choose how to respond. If you want to last long enough to become the best, you must learn to control your inner state. Most people break, not because they are incapable, but because they are emotionally undisciplined. They let frustration dictate their choices. They let fear talk them out of progress. They let stress cloud their judgment. And when life punches back, they crumble. Not because they were weak, but because they never trained their mind to stay steady under fire. You cannot control the storm outside, but you can control the calm inside. You cannot stop chaos from arriving, but you can decide whether it rules you. This is emotional discipline, and it is the difference between those who rise and those who collapse. Look at the greatest leaders in history. When others panicked, they stayed calm. When the crowd lost their heads, they kept theirs. Their composure under fire gave confidence to everyone around them. That is real power. Not shouting louder, not reacting faster, but staying grounded when everyone else is shaken. This does not happen by accident. You must train it. You must build rituals that stabilize you. Breathing to slow your pulse, movement to release your tension, silence to clear your mind. Reflection to regain your perspective. These are not luxuries. They are weapons. Tools to keep your inner world stable while the outer world spins out of control. Think of a pilot flying through turbulence. Passengers are terrified. The plane is shaking, but the pilot's voice is calm. The pilot's hands are steady. That composure is what guides the aircraft safely through the storm. Your life works the same way. Chaos is guaranteed. Pressure is guaranteed. But if you can remain calm inside, you can lead yourself and others through anything. This is what separates the elite. They do not avoid chaos. They function inside of it. They do not need conditions to be perfect. They create stability within themselves. They do not waste energy reacting to every trigger. They conserve energy by choosing their response. That is strength. That is leadership. This is the 8th law of excellence. Control your inner state. Lead yourself before you lead anything else. Protect your mental energy like it is sacred. Build inner strength like a muscle. Because no matter how sharp your strategy is, if your mind breaks under pressure, you lose. But if your mind stays steady, no storm can stop you. 10 seconds in, here is the truth. The world will never stop throwing chaos at you, but you can stop giving chaos control. The one who controls their inner state controls the outcome. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay unshakable. That is how you last long enough to become the best. Greatness does not come to the half-committed. It does not belong to the one with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. If you want to rise to the top, you must burn the backup plan. Eliminate Plan B. Leave yourself no escape route but forward. Every time you leave a back door open, part of you walks through it. Every time you say, "If this does not work, I will try something else," you give yourself permission to fail before you have even begun. Half commitment builds half results, and half results never lead to greatness. The ones who make it to the top are not always the most talented. They are the most committed. They made a vow, a decision of no return. They drew a line in the sand and said, "This is who I am now." There is no going back. That level of commitment is what gave their discipline teeth. That is what gave their habits power. Look at Hernán Cortés, the Spanish conqueror. When he landed with his men, he burned the ships. There was no retreat, only forward, only victory or death. That mindset, extreme as it sounds, created an urgency, a focus, a fire that would not have existed with an escape plan waiting. This is the same principle you must apply to your craft. Burn the ships. Remove the option to retreat. When you remove Plan B, your brain stops negotiating. You stop wasting energy on what if it does not work. That energy is redirected toward how do I make this work? Solutions replace excuses. Action replaces hesitation. Momentum replaces fear. Most people do not fail because they are not capable. They fail because they leave themselves an exit. They prepare for failure more than they prepare for victory. They flirt with average while claiming they want excellence. But you cannot build a legacy while still entertaining the idea of giving up. This is not recklessness. This is focus. This is urgency. This is the refusal to dilute your energy across maybes. When you are all in, finally, fully, deeply in, your power multiplies. Your clarity sharpens. Your fear weakens. Because there is no longer an option to quit. You only move forward. This is the 9th law of excellence. Eliminate Plan B. Stop giving yourself permission to fail. Stop talking about what you will do if it does not work out. Start moving like it already has. Start showing up like you have already won. Because the moment you burn the backup plan is the moment you free yourself to give everything to the mission. 10 seconds in, you must hear this. You will never touch your true power while holding on to a safety net. Greatness demands you leap without looking back. Burn the ships. Eliminate Plan B, see Amit fully. That is the only way. When the noise fades, when the applause is gone, when the titles and the numbers disappear, what remains is your name. What do people say when you are not in the room? What do they remember when you walk away? That is legacy. And legacy is built on character. Talent may get you through the door. Results may put your name in lights. But character is what keeps you there. Character is what makes people trust you, follow you, believe in you. Without character, success is fragile. With character, success is eternal. Most people want greatness until it demands humility, until it requires patience, until it asks for truth when lying would be easier, until it asks for ownership when blame is available. That is the test. Not when things are easy, but when things are hard. Not when you are celebrated, but when you are challenged. Do you hold to your standard even when it costs you? Do you do the right thing even when no one will ever know? Think of Nelson Mandela. His greatness was not just in his vision, it was in his character, his humility, his forgiveness, his integrity under unimaginable pressure. That is why his name lives beyond his time. Not just because of his achievements, but because of who he became while achieving them. Character is the anchor that keeps you steady when storms come. It is the compass that guides you when temptations appear. It is the shadow that follows you long after you are gone. Your skill may impress, but your character is what will be remembered. This is why you must protect your name. Build it with intention. Align your actions with your values. Align your leadership with your principles. Be the person others can count on. Be the person you would trust with your own future. That is the true test of excellence. This is the 10th law of excellence. Build your name on character, not convenience. Do not sacrifice integrity for speed. Do not sacrifice values for applause. Do not sacrifice honor for a shortcut. Because shortcuts vanish, applause fades, but your character remains, and when you are gone, it will speak louder than any title you ever held. 10 seconds in, you need to hear this. Greatness is not just about what you achieve. It is about who you are while achieving it. Protect your name. Build it on integrity. Because in a world addicted to noise, addicted to shortcuts, addicted to illusions, real character is rare, real character is power, and real character cannot be taken from you. You have now seen the map. 10 laws of excellence. Build in silence. Master the fundamentals. Become unreasonably consistent. Embrace obsession. Marry the process. Seek pressure. Study the game. Control your inner state. Eliminate Plan B. Build your name on character. But none of it matters if you do not move. None of it matters if you keep waiting for permission. None of it matters if you keep waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time will never come. The applause will not arrive until you earn it. And greatness is not reserved for someone else. It is reserved for the one who decides, the one who chooses, the one who acts. You do not rise to the top by thinking bigger. You rise by living sharper, by removing the excuses that keep you average, by showing up when it is hard, by staying when it is boring, by training when no one is watching, by refusing to stop, no matter what. Greatness is not magic. It is not luck. It is not accident. It is a decision followed by discipline, enforced by structure, fueled by identity. It is the choice you make every day. And every day you delay is a day you remain average. But the second you decide, the second you commit, the second you burn the ships and embrace the silence, everything changes. You do not need applause. You do not need recognition. You do not need someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, "It is your time." It is your time the second you say it is. It is your time the second you stop waiting. It is your time the second you stop doubting and start living like the best is already yours. So, choose it. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Choose to live by the laws of excellence. Choose to build a name that matters. Choose to become undeniable. Not for attention, not for applause, but for the legacy you leave, for the impact you create, for the person you become. Greatness is not given. Greatness is earned. And now, it is your turn.